But let's go ahead and get to the biggest news of the week, honestly. Well, those two big trades for the trade deadline that ended yesterday. But we're gonna talk about the one in Dallas, guys. Dallas Cowboys traded for Quinnen Williams, D tackle from the Jets. All right, Dallas sent a 2026 second round pick, a 2027 first round pick, and I heard that that's going to be the best pick available. Because mind you, Dallas had their pick and the Packers pick. Whichever pick is the lowest pick, that's the one that's going to New York. They also sent defensive tackle Mozzie Smith, former first round pick, to the Jets. And of course, the Jets sent Quinnen Williams. All right. So, Rell, what was your reaction to this trade?
Yes, sir. So this is actually a really, really good trade for both teams, Dallas and the Jets. But starting with New York first, this is a trade that needed to happen. Quinn Williams, he's been a center stone piece for that Jets defense since he got drafted third overall out of Alabama 7 years ago. He's been a cornerstone. Like he's the best player on that defense. He's been the captain of that defense. But New York isn't going to go anywhere for a minute, and they needed to get whatever value they could from him because they were honestly so bad at every position that they needed to get something. But moving to Dallas' side, Dallas needed to get a run stopper. Dallas needed to get something on the defense because they can't stop anything to save their life. And that, I think Jerry Jones saw what happened on Monday Night Football against a very bad Cardinals team and said, oh my gosh, my defense is so bad, I got to go get a game changer. So he used the assets he got with Micah Parsons and got Quinn Williams, which was a great move for Dallas. And he didn't part with his first round pick this year. He knows the Cowboys won't be that good. He said, hey, we won't be that good this year. You can have a first round pick next year. So I think it was a win-win for both teams. Um, really a great trade. This is probably the best trade made the whole trade deadline.
Jerry, what you thinking?
Um, I wouldn't say a great trade. It's a very good trade though. Both sides do like we can't say a side lost. And that's what we say in a lot of trades, like who's the winner, who's the loser. We can't say a side lost, honestly, in this trade. But I just want to commend New York. They realized, hey, like we need to clean house. We need to get this done, especially with players with such high contracts. So we need to go ahead and clean house. Our two highest paid players, get them out of here, get them gone. And I also like that because they just knew they wouldn't win with them. So why are we gonna waste not only money, but we're also gonna waste this player's career when we can get future assets for the future. So they're taking the right steps in the right direction to be successful, hopefully in the near future. But on Dallas's part, yes, you upgraded your team. Yes, your defense is better. Yes, Quinnen Williams is a very good defensive tackle, very good. But does this, like Rose said, Jerry Jones didn't give up his first round pick because he knew that they wouldn't be that good this year. But why couldn't you have made this trade in the offseason? If that's the case, why wait till right? Why make it at the deadline? You make it at the deadline makes me think that you think Quinnen Williams can be your saving grace into getting to the postseason, which I don't think so because like your team is much more away, especially at defense from Quinnen Williams to get y'all into the playoffs. I'm not gonna lie, like that secondary is terrible, and I don't think Quinnen Williams can change that. Like Micah Parsons helped shade that just a little bit because their secondary was still terrible. Quinnen Williams being an interior rusher, like he's not a Chris Jones where he's just wrecking the game like Chris Jones does, helping out that secondary. So, like Rose said, this is really for the run game, and he will get some pressure, but it's not gonna turn around your defense, not entirely. Like prime example of how bad your secondary is. Deron Bland, oh my gosh, what Marvin Harrison Jr. did to him, that was a crime committed. That was bad. But yeah, so this trade to be made at the deadline, I feel like this is a trade that tells me that Jerry Jones thinks that they can make the postseason, but I just don't think they can. So, I mean, it is technically still a good trade though. So both sides came out pretty good.
Yeah, I need every Dallas Cowboys fan to listen and understand that this move was not for this year. I believe that. I think Jerry Jones knows that. I don't think Jerry Jones is that delusional where he thinks that adding Quinnen Williams to this defense is going to change everything. Because as good as we think Quinnen Williams is, let's face the facts. This year he only has one sack. And the one sack came in week one against Pittsburgh. Week one was a long time ago. He hasn't had a sack since then. So I'm not bashing Quinnen. I'm just saying he's not a Quinnen is a star with superstar upside. right? Some games he will show you that superstar potential, but for the most part, he's going to be a star. He's not really a guy that's going to pop up on the stat sheet. He's not a guy that's going to take over games. Therefore, he can't just go to Dallas and change the defense. So the defense is still going to be bad because he can't get crazy pressure to the quarterback like some of us believe he can. But Quinnen Williams is a good player, and I like this trade for Dallas moving forward, right? Dallas going into next year, we have 2 first-round picks. I'm certain they're going to use that for defense. And you have Quinnen Williams as well, somebody you can build around. You also have Kenny Clark that's there as well. So you're beefing up the D line little by little. And I think the defense will be better next year for sure. But this is not a move for this year. I can guarantee that Quinnen Williams is not going to change that secondary. He's not going to get enough pressure on the quarterback to help the secondary. Therefore, the secondary is still vulnerable. People can still pass on them all day long. But for the Jets, as y'all said, they're cleaning house. I and mind you, when I was high on the Jets is when they had Aaron, Sauce, and Quinnen Williams. Mind you, all 3 of them are gone, but I've seen Quinnen on a really good defense, right? And I think that what the Jets are saying is, look, our defense is not where it once was. So what's the point of keeping Quinnen Williams, right? So we need to go ahead and ship him off and get a good return. And Jared, you said, why not make this trade in the offseason? There's a saying that today's price is not tomorrow's price, or however that saying goes, right? So if they could get them for this year's second, next year's first today at the trade deadline, cool. If I heard, hey, the Jets are selling, they have a fire sale, hey, let's go attack it now versus in the offseason when the price could change. So I love this move for Dallas, but please understand, Dallas fans and any analysts out there, this is not for this year. I am certain this is not for this year, but this is a good step moving forward for Dallas. All right. But y'all, this wasn't the only big trade. There was another trade. Indianapolis. Guys, they went out and they got Sauce Gardner. All right. This trade was AD Mitchell, a 2026 first and a 2027 first round pick for just Sauce Gardner. All right. So, Rell, what was your reaction to the Colts going all in on Sauce?
Yes, sir. My first reaction was just Colts. Why would you just say, "Hey, we're 7-2. Let's go make a game changing trade. Like this is our year to win the Super Bowl." Like, why? Like you guys should be really, really good this year. Like you guys are the first seed, second seed in the AFC. God willing, everything else goes right, and you make the playoffs. You're a high seed. You guys are just a team that picked 14, 15, and 4 in the last 3 drafts. Like you weren't that good the past 3 years. Why would you trade 2 first-round picks the next 2 years on a player like Sauce Gardner? Like he's a really great player. Granted, I just don't think he's worth 2 first-round picks. That's just how I feel. Granted, being he might have just been in a bad situation in a bad Jets defense, and I personally think he will be better in Indianapolis. But I'm just saying, Colts, your team is not that stable. You guys aren't that good to where you can say, "Hey, we're going to be Super Bowl contenders this year and next year. Let me just trade my pick next year." You guys are your team is so inconsistent. You guys could be picking 7 next year, and then the Jets have that pick.
Yep.
But going back to the Jets side, hey Jets, this was a great trade. Like Jalen just said, why are you keeping these players and the defense is still bad? Like you need to make something out of nothing. You got the best out of what you got the most out of what you got. So there's just a great trade for the Jets, the Colts. Only time will tell.
Facts. Jared, how you feel about the big trade?
The Jets fleeced the Colts. Like they really truly did. The Jets, like they have everything for the future, and not only that, people see. But I do think that Adonai Mitchell, like he's a nice young piece. Like he can be a solid wide receiver. He can be a solid 2 or 3 option in the future. So now to pair along with hopefully, Garrett Wilson will be there for the long haul for a long time. So now going into next season or going into 2 years from now, you have AD Mitchell, you have Garrett Wilson, you have Mason Taylor, you have Brees Hall will probably be gone this offseason, but you can always get another running back. So as long as you figure out your quarterback situation and that O-line, your offense should be fine. So that trade also helped out with the offense, and now you have a lot of picks. You can address the needs of the offensive line. You can address the needs of the defense. It was a great trade by the Jets. Like the Jets GM, you're doing a great job. I'm not gonna lie to you, but The Colts, they just got trigger happy. Like they got trigger. That's all it was. They got trigger happy. They heard that the Jets were selling, and they said, "Oh, a player like Sauce, what he once was, what he can be." Like they banked on that basically. But I don't see why you shouldn't. We all know that y'all aren't gonna go to the Super Bowl. You shouldn't be where you are right now. Okay, let me not say that. Let me not say it shouldn't be where they are right now. The record they have, they've earned it. They've earned their record. 7-2, they've earned their record. We're not gonna say there's games that they shouldn't have won or anything like that. They earned their 7-2. They earned that number one spot so far in the AFC. They've earned that. But like Rell said, next year Daniel Jones can revert to his old ways, and you have a top 10 draft pick. Like this just isn't smart. Honestly, you should just. This is the type of move you could have made in the offseason based on your postseason run. Let's just say you made it to the AFC Championship. Now it's like, oh, let's get better. But still, what you gave up was kind of crazy. I'm not going to lie to you. The wide receiver part, not so much, just because they do have a stacked wide receiver room. Michael Pittman Jr., Tyler Warren, Josh Downs. Like they have a stacked wide receiver room. So that didn't really hurt, but the draft picks, that kind of hurts you. And you might need those in the future. So they might pay for those.
Yeah, man, there's two things to address with this trade. The mindset of the Colts and the trade itself. All right, starting with the mindset. Guys, 10 weeks ago, if I would have asked anybody in the world, can Daniel Jones lead a team to a Super Bowl? 10 weeks ago, literally 2 months ago, everybody would have said no. I think if the Colts are being real, because the Colts brought them, they didn't bring them there to start. They brought him there, and then they realized, okay, Anthony Richardson is really just not, it's not clicking. So they ended up being a QB battle, and then Daniel Jones ended up taking over. But I don't think the Colts would have believed 10 weeks ago that Daniel Jones would take him to the Super Bowl. I don't think that's realistic. I don't think the Colts came into this year saying, okay, we're going to the Super Bowl. We'll try to make a run. But Daniel Jones gets hot, the offense gets hot, everything's cooking, and now they think for some reason that they're about to make this magical run, and they think that Sauce is going to put them over. So that's the mindset of the Colts, which I think is wrong. Then the trade of the Colts, you sent 2 first-round picks for a guy who we've all said is not the same no more. Now, I will say this, maybe a change of scenery could bring that dog out of him. Maybe him being on a team that's actually contending for a championship, well, contending for a championship can bring that dog out of him. Maybe just him being out of New York, because we know what New York can do to people, that might bring that dog out of him. I don't know. But that's the problem. You don't know. And you sent 2 first-round picks for something that you don't know about. It's like you sent 2 first-round picks based off his name and not based off what he's done over the past 2 years. I'm telling you right now, if I'm a GM and you said, hey, I'll give you Sauce for 2 first, have you been seeing what Sauce been doing? Like you're releasing him for a reason. You just paid him a big contract, and 10 weeks later, 10 weeks into the season, because he just got the contract this offseason, I want to say. 10 weeks into the season, after you just paid him, you're trying to sell him. That tells me all I need to know. Well, sorry, 9 weeks into the season. You're trying to trade him. That tells me everything I need to know. You don't believe in him anymore. And if you're going to get 2 first-round picks for what he's been, then, hey, I'll take it. But the Colts, like Jerrick said, they're trigger happy. They think that they're about to make this run. So let's go and get an former elite player. I wouldn't say he's elite right now, but like I said, maybe a change of scenery could change things. But I think their mindset is wrong because I don't see them making a Super Bowl run at all. And I think this trade was wrong because you sent 2 first-round picks for Sauce. So, I mean, like I said, if Sauce turns it around and becomes what he once was, then it's a solid trade. I mean, because at one point we thought Sauce was a top 5 corner. So if you can get a top 5 corner in that trade, Rell, we were talking about it not too long ago. There's not that many elite corners in the league. There's not that many. So if he does turn around, then maybe this was a okay trade. But I think it all goes back to your quarterback. Like Daniel Jones can single-handedly lose you a playoff game. I've seen quarterbacks do that, be in perfect situations and single-handedly lose you a playoff game. So what you're telling me is you have the utmost faith in Daniel Jones, and to me, that's just that's a bunch of bull. Cause there's no way. There's no way y'all are that high or that drunk that y'all think Daniel Jones is really gonna take y'all to the promised land. I get it as a coach, as a GM, as an owner. You should have the utmost faith in your team. But let's be realistic at some point. Daniel Jones is not finna do this.
They're high on their MVP contender,
Which is JT. But at the end of the day, like I said, there's quarterbacks that can lose you. I don't care how good you take. Jared Goff is a prime example. Jared Goff has Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jamison Williams, a good offensive line. And what happened last year in the second round of the playoffs? He single-handedly gagged and threw up and literally threw, two interceptions, fumbled twice, something like that. So I think Daniel Jones is that kind of guy. Sam Darnold was in a great situation last year. First round of playoffs, what happened? Wet the bed. Same thing can happen with Daniel Jones, is what I'm saying. So we'll see what happens.
They feeling
All right.
like in 7, leave a comment down below. Yeah.